Hi everyone. In this video I'll be walking you through 4 nonograms where we continue to practice using strategy 1 and strategy 2 to solve these puzzles. If you need a reminder of how those strategies work, watch my previous videos or pause the video here in a second when I put the definition on the screen. And if you printed out my PDF file and are completing these at home with paper and pencil, you'll need the sheet that has practice number 1, 2, 3, and practice number 4 nonograms. We will start with practice number 1 nonogram. Let's take a look at it. So right away we notice this is a 5x5 puzzle, and I always recommend you use strategy number 1 first. And strategy number 1 says we need a number clue that's equal to the number of boxes in a row or column. It's 5x5. Here's a 5, so every single box is filled in. The other part of the 100% strategy 1, is if you have a 0, that means none of the boxes should be filled in. So we need to make sure every box in this column will never be filled in. And once again, guys, for this computer program, I don't have dots or X's, so if I know a box shouldn't be filled in, I just make it completely white. If you're filling this out at home, you should put a dot in the center of each box you know will not be filled in. There's our strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is the edge, where you go to the edge of the nonogram, and for this number 4 clue, we know we can't go to the left. We can only fill boxes into the right, and we know we need 4 in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 filled in. That row is finished. This row only needs 1, and we have 1 done. So put dots in these squares. We know this row is finished now. This row needs 3. Here's 1, 2, 3. This box will never be filled in. This box only needs a 1, so here we go, get rid of these boxes. And then the last row needs 4, and we only have 4 boxes that can be filled in, so 2, 3, 4. This nonogram is done. It's the letter E. All right. So using strategy 1 and strategy 2 is very effective in solving this puzzle. Let's go ahead and do practice nonogram number 2. This nonogram is another 5x5 puzzle, and so right away again we want to use strategy number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like the last puzzle, every box in this column will not be filled in. Put dots in that column, and we're going to use the edge strategy again. We go to the left. At the top we have a 4 clue, which means we'll need 4 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. A number 1 for the next row, which means this row already has the 1 it needs, so these will not be filled in. And now we have 2 clues. We need 1 filled in, and we always need an empty box, at least 1 between 2 clues or 3 clues. You always have to have an empty box. So after this first box is filled in, we have to make that one empty. And now we know it's going to be these 2 that are filled in, right? There's no other option because this box is also not going to be filled in. Let's go to row 4. We have 1 box that needs to be filled in. It is filled in. This one is not filled in. And this is the first place where we're not sure what to do here. We need 1 more box filled in, and we have 2 boxes that can be filled in. We don't know which one it is yet. We're going to leave it for now. Let's go to the last row. It's another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done all we can do by looking at the rows. Let's look at the columns now. This column is done. This column needs a 1 and a 1. We have that. Let's go to the third column. We need a 1 and a 1 and a 1. We have that. We need to indicate that this box should not be filled in, though, because this row or this column is done. And now we need 1 and 3. So here's 1, empty, and then 3 in a row. It's pretty clear this box has to be filled in, so we get 3 in a row. There we go, and this nonogram is done pretty quickly. It's a G. Awesome. So once again, using strategy 1 and then the edge strategy help make this nonogram pretty easy. Let's move on to our third nonogram labeled practice number 3. And our third practice nonogram also is 5 by 5, and it has a 5 for this column. Let's go ahead and fill those in. And it has a 0 for this column. Let's mark those as not to be filled. And let's use our edge strategy. We need 4 in this top row. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 1 in this row. It's done. So we'll mark these not to be filled. We need 4 again. Here we need 1 and 1. So we know this one's filled. This one is not filled. Not sure which to do here. And the last row is also 4 in a row. Now let's go to our columns. This one's done. This one is done. This one, we have our 3 boxes. This one should not be filled in. And then this column, we need 1 and then 3. We knew we had to fill in that box because we needed 3 in a row, and that finishes our nonogram. We have the number 6. All right, we're keeping these pretty simple, everybody. Got to get the basic strategies down before you can do some fancy and large nonogram. We have one last practice nonogram to do. It's number 4. Let's move on to that one. For this last practice nonogram of this video, let's try something different. I want to challenge you to complete this nonogram without my help. So, if you've printed this out at home, in a second, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can use strategy number 1 and number 2 to solve this whole nonogram. If you haven't printed this out, just pause the video anyway and see if you can figure it out in your head as best you can. Alright, let's see how you guys did. So, first, I hope you figured out the size of the nonogram. It's 5 by 5 again. And I always recommend strategy number 1, right? We don't have any 5s this time, but we do have a 0. So the first thing I would do is put a dot in each of these boxes. This column is off limits. When we know this box is not to be filled in, that makes this 4 real easy to figure out, right? We only have 4 boxes left. I would go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I would do the same just immediately for the other 4s. All right, those rows are done. Now I go up to the first column. What have we got? 3 and a 1. So we know this is the only one at the end of the column because there's a 1 for a clue, which means this one will not be filled in. And now we only have 3 boxes left. So 1, 2, 3. There's our string of 3 consecutive boxes. This one needs 3 single boxes. There's 1. They're all there. We just need to indicate that these should not be filled in. Same thing for this column. And the 4th column, we need 1, which means this one is empty. And we could use strategy number 2 to get the 3 because we know we have 1 here, which means if we have a 3, we would count up from the edge, 1, 2, 3, and our nonogram is finished. This time we have the number 5. Amazing. All right, everybody. So if you watched my previous video and you watched this entire video, I feel like you should have a pretty good handle on using strategy number 2 as well as strategy number 1 when solving nonograms. In my next video, we will move on to strategy number 3. And pretty soon you'll have 4, 5, 6, and 7 strategies to use. Thanks for watching. If you learned something, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss a nonogram video.